when the cops showed up on my lawn at 2 a.m. because a woman named Camille's mom thought her daughter's birthday guests were entitled to park in my driveway. I realized this wasn't just a neighborhood dispute. It was psychological warfare. And trust me, I was done playing defense. Imagine standing barefoot on your porch, wearing pajama pants with coffee stains, blinking into the flashing red and blue lights, while a smug woman in fuzzy slippers argues with a police officer about how her VIP guests deserve respectful parking arrangements. Meanwhile, three teenage girls in pink sashes are filming everything on TikTok like it's a music video, and I'm the villain. You know how people say, pick your battles? Yeah, well, I didn't pick this one. It crash-landed in my front yard like a deranged birthday balloon. Let me back up. I bought this house 4 years ago, scraped and clawed for it, worked 2 jobs, lived on microwave noodles and gas station coffee for far too long. So when I finally had a driveway of my own, it felt sacred. A little slab of concrete freedom where I could park, pace while on the phone, or just stand there admiring the lack of tow trucks and oil puddles. But apparently, a piece offended someone. Her name is Evelyn, though she only refers to herself as Camille's mom, like her daughter's existence gives her diplomatic immunity. She's the HOA vice president, and she treats it like a Supreme Court appointment. Rules don't apply to her. They're just suggestions she enforces with passive-aggressive newsletters and friendly reminders taped to mailboxes. The first red flag? A week before the chaos, she knocked on my door and casually mentioned Camille's sweet 16 garden soiree. Said it with that tight-lipped, too-many-teeth smile. She didn't invite me, which was fine, but then added, since you don't really use your driveway on weekends, would you mind if we used it for guest parking? Just a few cars, nothing wild. When someone opens a request with, since you don't really use it, that's not a question. That's an assumption. Like trying on a dress and asking you to pay for it. I told her politely that I preferred not to have other people's vehicles on my property. Liability, security, and, frankly, boundaries. She blinked like I'd spoken in tongues, then nodded slowly and said, "Oh, I just assumed you'd want to be neighborly." That was the end of the conversation. Or so I thought. Flash forward to 2 a.m., the night of the party. I'm startled awake by lights flashing through my curtains like a discount rave. I open the door and find 2 police officers on my lawn, looking vaguely embarrassed. One of them starts with, "Sir, we got a call about a disturbance involving blocked access." Behind him, there she is, Evelyn, clutching a cake box and gesturing wildly in my empty driveway like she's reporting a robbery. She's refusing to allow access to our guests, she says. It's unreasonable. My daughter has over 50 attendees. This neighborhood should be more accommodating to special events. The cop looks at me. I'm half asleep and pretty sure I'm hallucinating. "Is someone parking your driveway right now?" he asks. "No," I reply, "and no one will be." Turns out she tried to send 3 cars in my driveway earlier. I put up cones to block them. One of her guests had a meltdown, and Camille cried in front of the dessert table, which in Evelyn's world was apparently grounds for police intervention. The cops, bless them, realized how absurd it was and quickly de-escalated. They told her it was a civil matter and left after ensuring no one was trespassing. But Evelyn stood there fuming, like someone had canceled prom. "This attitude is why people don't like living near you," she told me. I smiled and replied, "And this entitlement is why people start HOA horror blogs." She stormed off in her designer robe. But I knew this wasn't over. The next morning, 2 of her guest cars were parked on my grass, tires halfway up the curb like they'd gotten lost looking for valet. I took pictures. Documentation is key when your enemy wears tennis skirts, unironically. A day later, I received what looked like an official HOA notice. Printed in Comic Sans, of course. It was entitled Driveway Reallocation Agreement and stated that to support community togetherness, homes with underutilized driveways would allow overflow parking during celebratory events. My address was highlighted. I snorted my coffee. I texted a neighbor on the board. His response? "Yeah, that wasn't approved." That's just her. So now I had fake documents, trespassing, a police incident, and a woman with no chill trying to annex my concrete like it was the last slice of cake at a divorce party. A few nights later, I caught her sneaking into my yard. Not to apologize, but to place a reserved for VIP parking sign at the end of my driveway, complete with a balloon taped to the mailbox. She really did it. She marked my driveway for her guests like she was organizing a wedding at a Marriott. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I took photos. I waited. Because the more I watched, the more I realized this wasn't just a birthday party. Neighbors mentioned seeing moving trucks, rented chairs, lighting setups. One even said, "We thought she was running an event business." That's when the puzzle pieces clicked. This wasn't a one-time Sweet 16. This was a recurring thing. Birthday parties, baby showers, branding retreats. She was hosting private events in her home and using our street, our driveways, and our patients to run a side hustle, all under the HOA's nose. So I started digging. Found out her so-called guest house was an illegally converted garage with a chandelier and ring light. She was advertising her events in a private Facebook group for luxury, intimate gatherings. I wasn't going to confront her directly. That's not my style. I believe in precision. I called the city with some innocent questions about building codes. Spoke to a friend with the fire marshal's office. Sent an anonymous tip to zoning. Nothing crazy, just enough to get the wheels turning. Meanwhile, Evelyn kept escalating. One afternoon, I found chalk arrows from the sidewalk to my driveway. Another time a man tried to move my trash bin to make space. I told him he had 30 seconds or I was calling a tow truck. Then came the cease and desist, printed on pink paper with a dove watermark. It claimed I was harassing her and spreading misinformation. I laughed so hard I dropped my sandwich. I posted a redacted version in the neighborhood group. Caption: legal question. Is this enforceable if it smells like Victoria's Secret body spray? The post blew up. Neighbors started sharing their own stories. She told one family they couldn't plant sunflowers because they were too whimsical. Another said she tried to ban wind chimes. And then the fire marshal showed up, clipboard in hand. She was hosting a mini bridal expo that day. Tents, candles, DJ, the works. The marshal looked around and said, "This isn't residential use." My heart sang. Red tags were placed. Vendors packed up like it was a raid. Evelyn stormed inside like she'd swallowed a lemon wrapped in a lawsuit. Later, a notice appeared on her door. A formal cease and desist order citing zoning violations, occupancy limits, and fire hazards. The most beautiful beige I'd ever seen. I casually mentioned it in the neighborhood group. Just, hey FYI, maybe avoid lighting candles on your lawn when hosting 20 strangers and a chocolate fountain. The next day, her husband was out power washing the sidewalk like he could scrub away the shame. She wasn't done. Started posting inspirational quotes on the HOA page. Things like, "Strong women build each other up." Ironic, considering she reported someone for a blue front door. Then came the flyers, "Support local, Camille's boutique launch. Backyard fashion show, dog in a tutu." I forwarded it to zoning, fire marshal, and for fun, the IRS tip line. I compiled everything into a file. Sent it to the HOA board. Politely. No questions. Let the evidence speak. 2 days later, emergency HOA meeting. Evelyn showed up late, cookies in hand. But the room had shifted. No one smiled back. I presented my case. Photos, flyers, payment screenshots. Zoning codes. A short video of her boutique launch. Then the neighbors stood. One by one, they told their stories. The board squirmed. Evelyn tried to spin it. Claimed I had a vendetta. But no one bought it. When a vote came, it wasn't even close. She was removed as HOA vice president. Effective immediately. She stood, muttered something about legal action, and left. Within a week, her event gear vanished. Social media pages went dark. The illegal guest house was shut down by the city. Someone leaked the HOA footage to Reddit. It went viral. Memes. GIFs. A t-shirt. "I gave you community." 2 months later, Evelyn moved out. No farewell. Just a moving truck and silence. The new neighbors? Lovely. Young couple with a baby and a golden retriever. Knocked on my door their first weekend and asked if they could park a guest in my driveway. I said yes. To commemorate the chaos, I added a small metal sign above my mailbox. It reads, VIP parking by invitation only. It always gets a chuckle. Looking back, I'm almost grateful. Evelyn reminded us what happens when power goes unchecked. She turned our quiet block into a battleground. But in the end, we got our peace back. And I got my driveway.